Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm excited to introduce Cognitus CLM, a contract lifecycle management solution purpose-built for federal environments. Whether you're operating on-premise in a private or sovereign cloud or prefer a SaaS deployment, Cognitus CLM offers the flexibility to meet your infrastructure and compliance needs. At its core is a private AI model, making it ideal for regulated industries where data security and control are paramount. But it's not just secure, it's also smart. Cognitus CLM brings intelligence and automation to every stage of the contract lifecycle, supporting teams across sales, purchasing, legal, and beyond. Let's dive in and see how we can transform complexity into clarity. We start off on our homepage where we are welcomed with analytics and intelligence. You can see all of the different types of dashboards and visuals that are available out of the box for users. And you can have multiple dashboards depending on the functional role of the specific user. You can look at things like contracts, clauses, invoices, etc. Our AI Copilot is directly on the homepage and available and persists throughout the application as well too. And we can leverage this to really optimize the way that we do business. So whether it's learning how to create an agreement or running a risk assessment, we can do all of these things with the help of AI and drive efficiency and effectiveness into our business processes. Simple prompts like, how do I create a new contract, are returned with detailed instructions to guide users whether they're new to the system or new to a particular function. Mass changes to multiple contracts at one time will allow users to save time in what previously took a lot of time and effort and introduced error proneness into specific processes to make updates to certain contracts. We can even leverage generative AI to analyze contracts, summarize the key points that we see or need to report out to others, and even run risk analysis or risk assessments directly from the tool, whether it's based on attachment contracts or contracts that already exist within the system. Our Cognitus CLM also supports embedded help and training for users as well, so they don't have to rely on the resident experts to understand how to do things. They can look at documentation, walk through demos and videos, and even task tutorials to walk them through specific processes. It's a robust CLM tool that allows you to support all of your areas of your business, so there could be and will be a lot of documents in here. So a very intelligent search will allow users to even type in just fuzzy specific information and start to get feedback instantly. Recommending best matches, looking at different types of documents, having them categorized, and even generating an AI summary of the search results. A great example of this could be find all contracts that include a specific FAR clause or something of that sort. Next, let's take a look at the calendar that's built directly into the application. Here, users, whether contract administrators or managers, can see all events, tasks, and milestones that they should be aware of, whether they're directly assigned to them or if they're just tagged to be informed on specific things. A nice calendar view shows me by day, by week, by month, based on my preference, and I can see all day events, I can see specific events, and I can see them across the different days as well too. Clicking into them, I can see more information like which contract are they specifically assigned to, when are they starting, when are they ending, what type of document are they, and who are the members or teams that are assigned. I also have a grid view that allows me to toggle between those that are ongoing and those that are upcoming to give me a holistic view of my to-dos across all of the contracts that I support. This application can be integrated with external software like Microsoft Projects or even with Outlook to really give users one centralized place to see all of their different tasks and responsibilities. Now let's look at the different types of agreements or contracts that we support within the system. I mentioned that this is a full-fledged, robust CLM tool that supports legal contracts, opportunities or proposal management, purchasing or buy-side contracts, and sell-side contracts as well too. Leveraging the different types and subtype configuration, you can support multiple lines of business within the same CLM application, whether it's supporting government sales contracts and commercial sales contracts or your aftermarket service contracts, task order creations. They can all be done and managed in the same centralized repository. User permissions can define which types and subtypes of contracts certain individuals can see or even edit. They can view the full history of their allowed contracts in this particular view. They can break them down by different types to categorize. And this is where you can also create new contracts. There are multiple ways of creating new contracts. Of course, manual is always going to be an option, but it's something that we drive to minimize, if not completely remove, if at all possible. We can import these from external systems, whether they're from CRM or other opportunity tools that you want to generate contracts from. We offer standard templates for mass imports, and our most powerful object is to run what we call AI extraction. Here, we leverage that private AI model to automatically extract contract awards. The model is pre-trained on all government forms, giving you a high level of accuracy on your extractions from day one without requiring any pre-training. The model does also work on non-standard forms as well too. So for your commercial contracts, you're likely to have specific templates by customer, and you can train the model to increase the accuracy, but again, you don't have to. Let's run through the process and upload an SF33 contract award and see the power of the extraction from our AI model. Before I run the extraction, I can specify the type of contract that I want to create, whether it's a task order or an IDIQ contract or whatever that might be, and even the subtype. So this type of extraction functionality can not only be used for government contracts with our SF33s, it can also be used for revisions or modifications with SF26 documents as well, and even for maintenance contracts. So if there are use cases where you might receive a DD 1149 form and you want to then create an aftermarket or maintenance contract, you can use that form, automatically extract all the information, and generate the contract in near real time. Here we'll start the extraction on our government sales contract. And you see, we get a notification that the extraction has started, and in just a few moments, we'll get a notification that it's been completed successfully. Depending on the size of the file and a few other variables, the extraction process times can vary. This one took maybe a minute or two just because it was a standard form that the system's already trained on. And you'll notice that users get notifications for all of system updates, like the extraction being completed, but other things like tasks being assigned to me, or even detailed other error messages depending on my level and role of responsibility here. If I go look at the extraction, I can see that in just a matter of minutes, the system has taken a 66-page government contract award with many CLINs and many clauses and extracted it into a document. Now, this might have taken hours or even days of manual time to key in this particular contract, which is not only an inefficiency in a process, but also opens up things like error proneness from mistyping numbers or even words into the document from an editing or updating perspective. We notice that we've got not only all of the header level information, we can include specific tags across, might relate to the type of field or whether or not a certain field is classified. This can even drive permissions or controls for certain users to have access to see or edit these types of fields as well too. It extracts all of the CLIN structure from the contract as well too, and of course each CLIN is going to have its own level of information, documents, quantities, prices, etc. There can be CLIN-specific clauses, and then even this concept of data sets, which is really tableized or structured information that can be extracted or assigned at both the line item level, and we'll see in just a second at the header level. So for line items, it might be pricing conditions or billing plans or even fulfillment or delivery schedules specific to a CLIN. We can add new CLINs or even create substructures for SLINs or ELINs directly in this view. We move forward, we can see the clauses that are extracted. So this extraction, this document had over 200 clauses listed on there. And our system doesn't match against the master data or the clause library for the client to see that 208 of those exist within the clause library, but 4 do not. So these are probably the ones that I want to pay the most attention to because they're not stored in my system master data. I can review them and I can make a determination as to whether or not I want to include them in just this specific transaction, or maybe I want to add them to my clause library because it's a clause that I'll have to adhere to going forward as well. Data sets exist also at the header, so these could be things like partner functions or trading partners related to the specific contract, even text information that could be stored specific to the contract as well. We can link agreements, so if we need to create a preceding or a subsequent document structure, we can start to build that out in this particular view so we can see the full lineage and relationship of related documents for this particular agreement that we're creating. And our system leverages a concept of team structures. This is how we can more dynamically and efficiently assign ownership. So rather than having one billing clerk assigned to this particular contract, I can assign a billing team of one or multiple people, and I can even have different levels of clearance built into the structure as well too. So if the contract or a CLIN that I'm responsible for is over a value threshold, then maybe it needs a level 2 review and clearance before it can be processed further. Whereas if it's below that threshold, then the level 1 is sufficient. We've got same idea from contracts. You can have legal team reviews, so the functional areas and the team ownerships is a complete configuration that's available to you as part of the system. Once we go through the initial review process, we can go ahead and create the agreement, which will put it into a draft status for us to further edit as we go. Regardless of how the agreement is created, whether it's through AI extraction or manually entered or interfaced from an external system, we are able to see the agreement once it's been drafted, and this process flow across the top defines the actions and the ownership or responsibility of teams or people that need to take steps to complete our flow. This type of process or workflow is completely configurable and can absolutely be different by different type and subtype of agreement. So a government sales contract might have more steps for review and processing than a commercial sales contract. A legal contract would likely have even less steps, and we'll take a look at those as we go throughout. But the value here is the flexibility and the configuration available to you as the customer to be able to manage the different types of agreements you have in your system the way that you need to. If we look at the details, we've got that full view that we saw just a minute ago in the extraction at the header information, line item level information, clauses, and also the data sets, both at the header and even at the line item level. We support contract modifications. You can see that those have been brought in, and we have the ability to look at all of the different versions and have different statuses, whether they're active or not, related to the modifications. And as we look at the modifications, we can even start to see a highlight of what the changes are related to previous versions. So I can see at the header level if there's any updates, what's the old value, what's the new value. At the line item level, are there any CLINs being added, any CLINs that were edited, even any CLINs that might have been removed. Same idea from a clause perspective, any new clauses, any edited clauses, any removed clauses would show up here. And if I have the authorization, I can go ahead and actually activate that modification in the system as well too, once it's been fully vetted and reviewed. The team structure from an assignment and responsibility perspective is available on the agreement with the ability to sub-delineate by the different teams directly here. We can see all of the attachments related to the contracts, whether it's the initial extracted document, anything from a preceding RFX or request for proposal directly in here as well too. Any of the mod documents, so what's the form that came in, any additional attachments, and the ability to see these documents in the system and side by side without having to download them outside is of great benefit that our customers have seen as well too. So I can see PDFs or Word documents or Excel documents all directly within the platform. You see we've got different folders, and what's great about this as well is you can build automation. So when I introduce a modification or create a new one, it will automatically create a folder structure to house all of the attachments related to that. I mentioned link documents, so you can see the full lineage and relationships, whether there's preceding or subsequent documents, and you can even build out a very complex web of relationship between documents that have their own sub-documents in here as well too. We were looking at tasks and milestones as part of our calendar previously, so that gives us our holistic view of all of the tasks and milestones related to all of the contracts that we're responsible for. But because we're in a specific agreement here, now we're able to see all of the tasks that are relevant for this particular government contract. We've got them categorized in this nice Gantt chart view where we can see by different status or process. But if we want to look at it more in a list view or even in a progress monitor view, we've got the ability to do that, absolutely. Same idea from a milestone perspective. We can see percentage of completion, have different values for priority or urgency. And we also support closeout from contract management perspective as well too. So you can define different templates of different tasks and items and things that need to be completed based on dates or other triggers related to a specific contract, have different checklist documents or store documents to monitor and manage the overall closeout process and make sure that we're adhering to all of the compliance requirements from intake all the way through to closeout from a contract management perspective. Next, let's take a look at a different type of agreement within the system. We'll take a look at a legal document and an NDA, which is just one of the subtypes of documents that we can support. You'll notice there's a different repository list. Again, these can be made available to different users. Perhaps maybe only the legal team has access to the legal document, so you can build that type of control directly into your processes. If we go look at this legal document, you'll notice that the process or the status flow across the top is different than that of the government sales contract that we were just looking at before. This one is more concise, less steps, less teams that are involved within the process, and that can vary just based on the different type and subtype of agreement. What I want to show here is our authoring capability. So we offer authoring of documents and collaboration directly within the platform. And if we go take a look at this, you'll notice that certain fields are highlighted as yellow, meaning that they are directly connected to the information that's maintained in the agreement within the system. So as these numbers change, whether they're changed in the document on the authoring side, whether they're changed as field values, they will be updated bi-directionally so that you're always in sync. And you can leverage these different templates with the dynamic fields so that every time I create an NDA, I can use the same template but automatically pull in the specific fields related to the contracts. If I change something like the recipient's name, which I can see is tagged here, when I make that update, again, it will go ahead and sync that onto the document as well too. So here we can see that making a change on the field side will go ahead and automatically update the authoring document as well. While our authoring capabilities directly in the application are very strong, we've had certain customers that say that they prefer to use Microsoft Word because it's a comfortable, familiar application for teams to do their contract authoring. So we are able to support that as well too with our CLM Word add-in. So what you see here is a template that still has direct connectivity to the CLM system. So you can see the agreement document ID that's in reference here, and I can even see the fields that are dynamically assigned and able to be managed. So you can operate with Microsoft Word as your authoring tool or leverage the built-in authoring application. And it's not just fields that can be dynamically assigned and updated in contracts and between the authoring document and the CLM, but it's also tables of information as well too. So imagine I could pull in all of the clauses or all of the CLINs and the breakdown of the delivery structure in real time and see all that information. And like I mentioned before, any edits that I make in the Word document will be synchronized with the CLM document and vice versa. If I come back to the CLM view, we support integration with e-signature applications like DocuSign, like Adobe Signature. And in there, not only are we able to use those tools and leverage their great capabilities around collaboration, but we're also storing all of the documents and attachments that are changed and edited throughout that end-to-end process. So here it's stored all of the different receipts and sent information, the red lines that have been received back, even all of the signatures in PDF view, and even these we can click and open and review directly within the application as well. The next thing I want to show is some of the system master data, specifically our clause library. So when I go into the configuration tab, which again is controlled by the user's roles and responsibilities, I can see all of the different types of agreements. Remember, I was talking about different types and subtypes of sales and purchasing contracts, etc. So I can create, manage, and maintain not only the agreements, but all of the different fields that are available for those as well. My templates for my NDA agreements or other types of documents that I want to have standardized content around can be controlled and managed here as well. And when I go into the master data, I can see my clause library. One of the biggest value adds of our solution is that we have a direct connection that's available to acquisition.gov to pull all of the FAR and DFARS clauses directly into the platform. And it's not just something that's done as an initial load during the implementation, but that is a real-time, up-to-date connection that will push all of the various revisions and updates and even new clauses into your clause library at a cadence of your choosing. So I can see all of the different clauses, and it's not just housing the government clauses. Of course, I can have my own subcategories for quality or customer-specific clauses. So it's really a central repository for all clauses that a particular customer wants or needs to have to interact with all of their trading partners. If I go look at a specific clause, I can see that there's a lot of dynamic information available for it. So not only its ID and its prescription, but also some other categorizations. This can drive workflows for reviews and approvals. Maybe the legal team looks at certain FAR or DFARS clauses. We might have financial or production clauses. So using these different attributes, we can drive ownership and control of clauses and also reviews and revisions from a workflow perspective. Obviously, clauses are going to have updates to them over time. So we store all of the different versions directly in the same repository, and we offer a side-by-side comparative view for users to see all of the different versions and revisions of a specific clause, with the system highlighting specifically what's changed from version to version. So it's nice to have this side-by-side. And we offer this functionality in a couple different places across the platform, not only for clause review and approval, but also for looking at mods compared to previous versions of contracts, or comparing CLINs, or even just contracts to themselves to see what might be different about them throughout. We've got flow down in here as well too. So obviously flow down of clauses in government contracting is quite important. So we can set and manage the distinguishment and delineation of where these clauses need to be flowed down to in a subsequent system like an ERP directly in our CLM. So this particular clause is going to a whole host of different documents, just to show you that we support not only sales documents, but also logistics documents like deliveries, purchasing and production documents, accounting or financial documents, invoices, and even into the aftermarket with some of your equipments or service orders, etc., as you go throughout. A newer feature that we've recently released into the clause management aspect of our CLM is review and approval logs. So whether there are iterations or changes that are coming in from external systems, or if users are trying to make updates to existing clauses, we have a workflow for approval and review built directly now into the clause library. Again, you can build these workflow processes through configuration directly in the CLM, so no developer or IT necessary to build those processes. And then you can see historically what is in your queue from a pending perspective, what's been approved, what's been rejected, giving you the full version and control history to be able to see these not only for your needs, but maybe also for audit requests or other third-party reviews potentially if necessary. The last thing I want to show in today's demonstration is really our integration section. So this is a little bit more technical, but this is where the system administrators and other IT users will kind of live and breathe and manage the system. So you'll notice that we've got a lot of great analytics to show how the system is performing. We can see all of the different flows or processes that are running. We can see those compared today versus other periods in history. We can see all the different executions, and we've got a lovely view that's giving us color coding about different things that we need to look at, whether it's execution of transactions, their statuses, whether they've been completed or failed, giving us this full end-to-end view. Taking a look at user activity, being able to see that level of information, and then even seeing a trend line of the executions that we've run over time. After looking at all of the dashboards for system performance, we can click into specific flows or technical executions that we might want to evaluate further. We can see all of them, or we can have them categorized potentially by the different processes they support, like e-signature, or the different systems from an integration perspective that are available as well too. So for instance, with SAP ERP, we can see all of the different types of executions or interface points that we support and have set up within this demo environment. We can see how many times these have been executed, who they were created by, who they ran by last, how long they took. All of that is available to us. Perhaps we want to go into a specific one. We want to take a look at the AI extraction flow that we used at the beginning of the demonstration to extract that PDF document into our agreement within our CLM solution. So not only can we see the history of the executions, but we can go into the builder, which is a low and no code way to build these technical processes. So you can see the end-to-end support, all of the tree branch decisions, different nodes, all the interdependencies between other technical flows and applications directly here. And this is really where more of your developers will be working if they're going to be making updates to these things, but there's not a high level of technical capability or coding that's necessarily required to build and maintain this particular part of the system either. Another important value driver of our solution is the robustness of our integration capabilities. So in our application store, we show pre-built system connectors where we support out-of-the-box integration with common applications that we have installed with our current customers or that we see as recurring in the industries that we support. So how we connect with SAP S/4HANA or with external analytics tools or SAM.gov or acquisition.gov. We have these categorized by the different types of systems, whether they're ERP or project management or e-signature specific. And these are really a great leveraging starting point for your implementation to either accept and adopt the out-of-the-box integration, or maybe use it as a starting point to build a more robust or complex integration requirement you may have with that particular system. But of course, if there are legacy systems that you need to interface your CLM with as well that we don't have as part of this store, that is something that we could also do and build as part of the project. Typically, we don't really see too many, if any, limitations from an integration technical perspective on our CLM side. There are sometimes challenges with homegrown legacy, particularly on-premise systems that might not have been developed with APIs or integration points in mind, but it's always something that we're very willing to explore and do whatever we can to build out so that we have that integrated system to support all of our customers' needs across their system architecture. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video demonstration. As you've seen, Cognitus CLM is designed with federal environments in mind, offering secure deployment options and a private AI model that ensures compliance within regulated industries while delivering powerful automation and intelligence across sales, purchasing, legal, and more. By adopting Cognitus CLM, customers can gain more than just a contract management tool. They unlock faster cycle times, reduce risk, and greater operational efficiency. It's a future-ready solution that simplifies complexity and empowers teams to focus on what matters most. We'd love to explore how Cognitus CLM can drive value within your organization. Thank you.